It will blow my papers away. It will blow away my papers. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Gopi Janapalabha Girivardhare Gopi Janapalabha Girivardhare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Vandachana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Vandachana Chamanatira Vanachari Jayavadha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki Jai. Jayam Ishtapad, Paraman Sabhava Chakacharya Sthana. Shishima Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Glories to the some devotees. Glories to the some devotees. Glories to the some devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So we're reading from Bhagavad-gita, chapter 1, text 42 and 43. Text 42. Dosha etai kulaknanam Vana sankarakarakai Gura dharmaschasha Utsadyante jati dharmaha Gula dharmaschasha shataha. Chant. Sharita ganam Akai Jati Dharma Guru Dharma Shasha Shataha. Anybody else? Dosha Tai Kulakaranam Anasa Garakarakai Saya Jati Dharma Guru Dharma Shasha Shataha Dosha Tai Kulakaranam Vanasa Garakarakai Utsadyante Jati Dharma Guru Dharma Shashtaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Purport. Community projects for the four orders of human society, combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatana Dharma or Varnashram Dharma, are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society, and consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. Text 43. Uksana kuladharmanam okay, go ahead. Manushanam chanardana narake niyatam vaso Bhavatitya Nishu-shamam. Translation. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I've heard by the simple succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Purport. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in Varnashram institution by which, before death, one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called prayashchitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities. Vakam karati vachalam bhangam langa tegini yakipam tamaham vande shigunam pinatarinam omagana timrandasya gyananja shalakaya chakshimiritam yena tasamai shikgurave namaha. So Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. He's saying, you know what you want me to do? This is against the Varnashram. So, but what is real Varnashram? Daiva Varnashram, Daivi Varnashram. Actually, Bhagavatam explains, Sanskrit here, Hari Toshanam. It's not you just do your duty, and you just be a Kshatriya, you just be a Brahmana or Vaishya or Shudra. No. You have to connect with Krishna. You have to satisfy Krishna. It goes along with your duty. Not just you do your duty. No. We are doing yoga, bhakti yoga. So Varnashram is also a part. It's part of bhakti yoga. And Varnashram is based on love. You must satisfy, worship Krishna with love. As Gita says, Pattam pushpam phalam toyam. So this is Varnashram, Karmashrayam, also in the 9th chapter. talks about whatever you offer, whatever you eat, you should offer it to Krishna. So Varnashram is based on a culture of respect, a culture of love and trust, and it is Krishna conscious. And now everybody in Varnashram they had to give in charity also. I mean, different according to what they knew. So we were, when we joined the temple, we were giving everything in the temple out of love for Srila Prabhupada. And so yes, you love the servant, also you love the master. So there's 4 principles also in Varnashram: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Religion, also making money, also enjoying sense gratification, and liberation. So the brahmanas, they're in charge of liberating everyone. And the Vaishyas, their main purpose is money. Brahmanas, let's go to Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas, religion, true justice. This they have to enforce. Now so Kshatriyas are the kings. We know the Brahmanas, they're the religious people, the head of society. Actually, the head was not the Kshatriyas. Now, who's the head of society? Actually, the Shudras, who have the money, the movie stars, whoever, whatever, who has the money. So it's kind of like Vaishyas, but actually it's Shudras, because they're sports people, worth millions of dollars they get every year, millions. So they're, according to our Kali Yuga society, who has the money is on top. But according to the Varnashram, the Brahmanas on the top, who they cultivated poverty actually, and they didn't care about money. They just lived very poorly. But knowledge was their wealth, knowledge, and so they would share that with others. A Brahmana would go door to door, and he would do astrology, and he would do also Ayurveda. He would cure the family, and he would tell them about the future and how they should live. And so this was in the past, what the Brahmanas, of course, they had other duties, which I'll talk about later. But all 4, no matter what ashram you are in also, you must do charity. Gita says, without charity, sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed, and that's for purification of the heart. So Brahmanas, what they give, their charity is knowledge. So they teach about scripture, and they also study. And they teach about how to worship the deity, and they also study. And also they do sacrifice, yajna, and yajan. And they teach also how to do sacrifice. So yes, this is Brahmana's duty. The Kshatriyas, the kings, they divide up the land, and they give away the land to people, because they were the owners of the land. And they would give it away to Brahmanas and to Vaishyas to cultivate. And then there's the Vaishyas, the business people, the farmers, and they would give wealth and products to the society. And they had to maintain, like the Grihastas, they have to maintain the brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. They're maintained by the Grihastas. Now the Shudras, they would give their labor. That was what they could do. But now we have Ugra karma. It's called working in the factories. Very difficult work in this age of Kali. And it causes, your mind becomes so depressed. So Prabhupada in a Prabhupada, he said, factory is another name for hell. They're very bad conditions. And one of our devotees, my godbrother, Bachhari, he used to work in a factory. And he was in a steel factory doing the night shift. Huge tons of molten steel were coming. He had to control them. And he said after 2 weeks, he almost had a nervous breakdown. He told Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's because in your last life, you were all Brahmanas, and now we're all here together again. So yeah, devotees can't make it in the factory, really. It's not for devotees. So we have these different varnas. That's varnas are the Shudras, Vaishyas, and Kshatriya and Brahmanas. And then there's the ashrams, the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. And they all depend on each other. And so it's very interesting, something Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto, he was asking the citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, do your duties in the position of Varna and Ashram, and always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your hearts. So isn't that interesting? He said, if you care about me, you will do this. And the thing is, in those days, they loved their king, they loved their president, and they would do anything. Now, who cares for the president, the king? They don't even like him anymore. So I don't know about Australia. I know about America. So he's not in a very likable position right now. Prithu is asking his citizens, if you love me, just do your varnashram and think of Krishna. So it was two together. It wasn't just do your varnashram. No. You have to be with Krishna. You have to think of Krishna consciousness. And so Prabhupada said this is the duty of the government to teach Krishna consciousness. And then, here's the verse from Gita. Yakaroshya dashnashya juhasi dadasya yatapashis kanteya tatkure shamararpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, whatever penance you do should be done in Krishna consciousness. So yes, this is Bhagavad-gita 9:27, and this is karma shrayam. This is, you do your karma, but connected to Krishna. And this is actually the devotional service in the mode of goodness. In 3rd canto, 29th chapter, later on, you will find out what is devotional service in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Did you know there are such things? People, they can do their devotional service in the mode of ignorance. It means you think, I'm the best devotee. They don't know anything. They should follow me and listen to me. And you might even be, kind of angry, and you might be violent even in the mode of ignorance. The mode of passion is you really want things. You want to enjoy. At the same time, you do devotional service. Yes, I need a motorbike. You might be a brahmachari, and I have to have a motorbike. It was a funny sannyasi came, I can't remember which one, gave a lecture in Vrindavan and said, we have our brahmachari grihastas here who live in the brahmachari ashram, but they want to have all the things. Anyway, so that is in the mode of passion. You want to enjoy at the same time, do devotional service. And demigods, they're kind of like that. But they are in the mode of goodness because Krishna comes first, usually. Except sometimes, like Lord Indra, he got angry with Krishna. Oh, it's not good. So now, the citizens, they depend for protection and instruction on the king. And the king was dependent on the citizens for following varnashram and connecting with Krishna for his perfection. He depended on them to be Krishna conscious and to do their varnashram duties. So Daiva Varnashram is with connection to Krishna, and the goal is to please Krishna. And there's a difference between Daiva Varnashram and Asurik Varnashram. Asurik means demonic Varnashram. So we can see a little bit in India how there is Asurik, that means demonic Varnashram, that is according to birth. No qualification. Just like when I lived in India, in Goa, I had a person who was taking care of my moped. I would go to the shop, and he was a Brahmin, Panditji, can you please service my moped? And he's covered head to foot with grease. Panditji, okay. Not. This is not Panditji. This is not Panditji. Just like also, my godbrother Padumna, Prabhupada, used to call him Panditji because he knew Sanskrit. He was very good in Sanskrit. But then sometimes he was not available. And so Prabhupada would say, where is Banditji? So instead of Pandit, he was a bandit. But anyway, yeah. So this is the difference. Let's see, I have a little chart here I can share with you. So the goal of Daiva Varnashram is to please Krishna. And everyone cooperates, and everyone can be a Brahmin. Everyone can advance to the highest. And the basis of your Varna is your character, your qualities, your training, guna, karma, vibhagasha. And the classification, karma yoga basically, and also bhakti yoga, if you can, you're supposed to connect with Krishna. And the highest position in Daiva Varnashram is the self-realized soul. Which Varnas are eligible for the highest? All Varnas. All Varnas. And this assists all citizens in spiritual progress. Now we do have the materialistic or asuric, the demonic Varnashram, and their goal is to have order in society, to promote social prestige, and help people go to the heavenly planets. What's the basis of your Varna? Who's your parent? Are you son of a Brahmin, son of a Kshatriya? And the classification, what you do is karma, basically, not karma yoga. And the highest position is the Brahmanas. And the Varnas eligible for that are Brahmanas. And contribution, well, it links people to a spiritual tradition, but it helps only the highborn people. Now, what about there's spontaneous Varnashram also. There's three. The Daiva, Asuric, and spontaneous. And that is what we find in society today, in regular society. The goal is just to preserve order and material comfort of the higher classes. And we see that the billionaires, who controls most of the wealth in the world, is just like not even 1% of the population. And the rest are have no money. They have no status, really. The basis of your Varna is your parentage and your money. And what is the class? What activities? Vikarma, sinful activities. And who is in the highest position? The rich and the famous. Srila Prabhupada, he was staying at, not George Harrison, John Lennon's estate. And in their living room, there was a picture of husband and wife completely naked. And Prabhupada said, just see the culture of these people. And the reporters will come and ask them very deep questions because they have money. That's it. No culture. And which Varnas can go to the highest? Only the rich and famous. So it's money and fame, basically. And so, yeah, no contribution to spiritual advancement. So that's the spontaneous. And so, yes, the duties of the Brahman is to see, to give us vision. If someone attacks us and we're blind, how can we protect? So Prabhupada used to say, India has vision and America has the money. So if we combine together, but America is lame. India is lame and America is blind. So if the lame and blind help each other, then there can be progress. So that's how he put America and India together. America was blind, so India has vision of spiritual culture, but America had no vision, but they could carry it. They could make it happen. So India, in those early days, they were not considered wealthy or anything like that, so they couldn't really make it go forward. So the duty of the king is to protect the citizens. But now, so much unemployment is there. I know in America they have these food stamps. 50 million people are on food stamps. And so that's really, really a lot. So then, I think that must be 1/6 of the people in America are on food stamps. So, yes, and so we want to please Krishna, and without Krishna, the whole Varnashram is useless. It's useless. And so, yes, Prabhupada gives the example that if the hands go on strike and say, we're not going to work now, we're not working anymore, because the stomach, the stomach is enjoying, and we're just working for the stomach. Why should we feed the stomach? So the hands went on strike. And what happened? They got weak. And I guess we can't enjoy the food. We have to give it to the stomach. We have to give it to Krishna. And just like in London many years ago, the doctors went on strike for 1 month, and the death rate went down 30%. So that's like, there you go. But everyone needs to cooperate. When Yudhishthira was king, not only the citizens cooperated, the rivers, the oceans, the hills, the mountains, the forests, the drugs, herbs, cooperated. They paid their tax to the king. So because Yudhishthira accepted not only people as citizens, he accepted the fruit trees, he accepted the mountains with the minerals, and so they all produced for the use of the king. They just gave it without mining or without cultivating. They gave their fruits and flowers. And so it's quite a whole different thing. If there is a Krishna conscious king, then the seasons will cooperate. When Ram was king, of course, there was no disease, there was no old age, and you didn't even have to die if you didn't want to. That was Lord Ram's kingdom. So this is, everything in creation has a purpose to perform in universal form. Every seed, now so many weeds, they have found out, are very good for the health. They're very good. Like dandelion. I mean, I remember as a child, it's a weed, yellow flower, and then, but the fun was you could blow it. You could blow the seeds. But now they say, good for the liver. In one temple, they even made dandelion pakoras. So I thought, that's healthy, I guess. At least the dandelion part. No, it's very good, they know, for the liver. So everything has a purpose in this universal form. And just like the river is supposed to give water, and when there's rainy season, it goes on the top of the mountain, and then it comes down. And of course now it's all polluted, but in those days, and when it was natural, then the river was very pure, and we could drink the water. And so nature can be controlled by surrendering to Krishna, obey the laws of nature, be in harmony with the universe, harmony with the laws of nature. So all the Varnas, they had a service to do for Krishna, and they would appreciate each other and greet each other with respect. Just like they would greet a Brahmana, Pandit Maharaj. They would say Panditji or Maharaj. Even Maharaj, the Brahmin would get that title, Maharaj. So our sannyasis, they get Maharaj also. Maharaj is also a Kshatriya. And he's also just as Thakur, and a merchant as Sachji, and labor class, the Shudra was Chaudhary, which means leader. So that's how they would talk to each other from the different Varnas. And so yes, so Maharaj Dasharath, when he received Vishwamitra, the Brahmana, he said, Ahishta yatta punarjama jayaya. How are you doing in your endeavor to conquer the repetition of birth and death? So moksha, he was asking, how are you doing in your spiritual path? That's how you would greet a Brahmana. So Prabhupada said, a Brahmana does not go to construct a big house. He simply constructs his character, and everyone else, they say, please come here, sit down. So if you can't be a Brahmana, be a Kshatriya. If you can't be a Kshatriya, be a Vaishya, otherwise stay Shudra. But Prabhupada said, we are trying to create a society of Brahmanas. So how to greet a Kshatriya, a king? How do you greet a king? Angira said to Chitraketu, I hope your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. So body, mind, that's important for Kshatriya. And he said, and a king has 7 elements that protect him. His guru, ministers, kingdom, fort, treasury, royal order, and friends. So how's your defense? How's your treasury? This is for the Kshatriyas. For the Vaishyas, Vasudeva said to Nanda Maharaj, how is Vrindavan? You have so many animals. Are they happy? Are they getting enough grass and water? So this was Vaishyas. Of course, nowadays it would be house business, because Kshatriya Vaishyas do a lot of business in Kali Yuga. And how is the place where you are? Is it undisturbed? And so the Vaishyas protect the cows, the Kshatriyas protect the citizens, and the cows are just as important for society. And the Shudras, how are you? And because the most important is the self, sense gratification, happiness, health. And so there was mutual respect. Oh, here's a story about Pradyumna. Shuddhakirti tells, when I was first with Srila Prabhupada, he sometimes rang his bell, and I came and he said, where is Panditji? And so that was Pradyumna, affectionate term. But he was not always readily available, so Prabhupada would say, okay, where's Panditji? So I told them. So how to greet a devotee? How's your japa? How's your... Of course, I think I have heard that His Holiness Jai Pataka Maharaj should say, how's your preaching? He really emphasizes that his disciples should preach, sell books. One time, His Holiness Radhanath Swami was asked, how are you? And he said, better than I deserve. Well, that's a whole nother level of devotee. Better than I deserve. Can we say that? I don't know. So what happens if you get a Shudra on top of government? Then sense gratification is the goal. Just like in the 1950s when I was a child, there was a president who gave his promise, if you elect me, there will be 2 cars in every garage and a chicken in every pot. So, anyway, that was his promise if he became elected. You will enjoy money, food, and cars. Yeah, this is actually... Shudra also Vaishya, it's money, and Kshatriya is justice. And then we don't get many Kshatriyas nowadays. It's mostly Shudras and Vaishyas who are elected to the top. And so Prithu was depending on his citizens for going back to Godhead. And Prabhupada also, he was depending on his disciples. Just like in the purport of Dhruva Maharaj's story, Srila Prabhupada said, the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world. Sometimes I think, even though I am crippled in so many ways, if one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, he will be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha Loka. So Dhruva carried his mother. And Prabhupada was hoping his disciple would carry him. Well, that was his humility, of course. So yes, we want to follow Daiva Varnashram. Arjuna was a bit worried. But Arjuna's problem was he was seeing more like a Asuric Varnashram, that it's without connection to Krishna. So Krishna had to teach him the whole Bhagavad-gita, that you connect with me, you connect with me, and then you can go. Yes, you can go back to Godhead. So Varnashram without connection to Krishna becomes demonic. And Arjuna was thinking of Varnashram like that. He wasn't thinking about serving Krishna. So the problem when we came to India, the caste brahmanas said, oh, so nice. You're doing such a nice puja. Next life, you can take birth as a Brahmin. So we told Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, you tell them, oh, you're doing puja so nicely. Next birth, you can take birth in ISKCON. We didn't tell them. But that was Prabhupada's answer. Yeah, so, yes. So the result of materialistic varnashram, injustice, exploitation, suffering. If a king doesn't teach about Krishna and just takes money from them, he will suffer. Actually, the king will suffer 1/6 of all the sinful activities, reactions of his citizens. It's 1/6. Can you imagine what's going to happen to those kings? Or now we call them ministers or president, prime minister, president. So yes, and one very interesting thing about Varnashram is in 3rd Canto, 12th chapter, verse 41. Lord Brahma created 4 ashrams to uphold 4 pillars of religion. Did you know that? 4 pillars are described in Canto 1: cleanliness, mercy, penance, and truth. Now, in 3rd canto, the first 2 are a little different. The first, the four pillars of religion: education, charity, penance, and truth. Now, education and cleanliness is for the brahmacharis. They're supposed to uphold education. That's where you get, when you're a brahmachari, you take education. And grihastas, they're supposed to uphold mercy and charity. That is for the grihastas. Married people, sense gratification with a charitable disposition. Mercy, daya or dana. Vanaprastha is austerity, and they have to hold that pillar of religion, and the sannyasis upholding the truth. No fake news like we get today in the news. So how do you know where you belong? You study Gita. In the 4th chapter, it says guna karma vibhaga shaha, that according to your guna and your karma, your quality and your work, what work are you doing? If you're not doing the work of a Brahmin, then that means you're not a Brahmin. So you have to see what kind of work. So even in previous times, anyone can be elevated. First Krishna says, of course, 9th chapter, verse 32, that women, Shudras, Vaishyas, they can all go back to Godhead if they surrender to me. Even in previous times, there was one Jabala, a prostitute's son, and he approached Gautama Muni, make me your disciple. And of course, they would only accept brahmanas. In those days, only brahmanas and kshatriyas could go to Gurukul, but they would only accept as a disciple a brahmana. So the guru said, who is your father? He wanted to know. And the boy said, I don't know. He said, go ask your mother. So mother said, my dear son, I don't know. He came, he said, sir, my mother also does not know who is my father. So Gautama Muni said, you are Brahmin because you're speaking the truth. Nobody would say like that, I don't know who is my father. Nobody will say that. But he's speaking the truth. So yes, I accept you as my disciple. And there was one, actually, like in ISKCON, that also, something like that happened. We did, one street boy became a devotee in Juhu. Well, he was in jail. And he got back to Godhead in jail. He saw a picture of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was wearing a very expensive watch. He said, I must get that watch. So he came to temple, I need to meet your guru. So he finally, it took him a while, and finally he met Prabhupada. And Prabhupada knew. It took off his, you want this? After he met Prabhupada, he was like Dhruva, no, I don't. I want to serve you, Guruji. So then what happened was, in those days in India, now I'm not so sure, everyone from India wanted to go to America. And so, because that's where the money was. So Prabhupada said, I'm sending you to the USA to preach. And this devotee, his name is Haridas. And so then, you may know him, yeah. So, that's what I was going to tell. Yeah, that story, I'll tell that story. So Prabhupada said, why aren't you going to USA? He said, well, for my passport, I need the signature of my father. I don't know who is my father. So Prabhupada said, show me that passport. And Prabhupada wrote A.C. Bhaktivedanta on his passport. So he would, there you go. So yes, it was, and then after, he went, and he also became in charge of the filming in India for ISKCON filming. He was also a star in a movie one time, movie about Haridas Thakur. He was in a movie, and because he was in Bombay, that's where Bollywood is. So, yes, so imagine, yes. Everything happened. He became a Brahmin, and yes. So, like in the West, it was Prabhupada was easier to preach. He couldn't really do it in India, so he came to America. Because in India, I already know Krishna. You don't need to tell me anything. But in the West, we didn't know anything. And so in India, they would say, why Krishna? Why not Durga? Why not this one, that one? And we said, why not? We were hippies. He's got long hair. He dances with other girls. He plays the flute. And we were musicians, a lot of us. Anyway, we liked Krishna. We liked that idea. He was beautiful. Krishna was so beautiful. And so, yes, it was easier for Prabhupada to preach in the USA because we said, why not? Why not Krishna? He's really nice. He's beautiful. We want to worship him. And so, yes, Prabhupada, he got us. But now in 1973, he went to Paris, Prabhupada. He was preaching with a professor. Prabhupada said, we are creating brahmanas in the Western countries. So the professor said, don't you think that's against the Dharma Shastras? Because in India it was by birth. You can only be a Brahmin by birth, and that's what everyone thought. That's what they thought, Varnashram was. So, no, Prabhupada said if the symptoms of a Brahmin are found in a Shudra, he should be accepted as a Brahmin. And so, everyone is sleeping. He thinks his body, just like cats and dogs, we're raising them to spiritual consciousness. We say, you're not cats and dogs, you're a Brahman. You're a Brahman. When Lord Chaitanya was here, the Brahmanas complained against him. Oh, according to Hindu scripture, God's name is the most powerful. If everyone hears the chanting, the potency of the mantra will be lost. That's what they criticized Lord Chaitanya. But no, we must kirtanaya sadahari, we must always chant. And that's why, to vanquish the pride, false pride of the so-called learned scholars, these caste Brahmins, Lord Chaitanya spreads religious principles through a Shudra, fourth-class man. Ramananda Roy was considered Shudra, but he was the highest associate of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya came to Ramananda Roy, who was considered Shudra, Grihastha, and he was a great Brahmana sannyasi, and he heard, he was listening, he was asking questions to Ramananda Roy, and Ramananda Roy was answering. So yes, and then the glories of the holy name through Haridas Thakur, who was a Muslim family. So one thing we should understand about this, it's actually, we are changing our bodies even now. So Prabhupada, there's a verse in 5th canto, 1st chapter, verse 35. A devotee who has taken shelter of dust of lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material whips: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. He can conquer the mind and 5 senses. This is not so wonderful for a pure devotee, because even a person out of the varnashram, an untouchable, is immediately relieved to material existence by chanting the holy name even once. Isn't that good? And so in the Prabhupada, it says the caste Brahmanas argue, unless you change your body, you cannot be a Brahmin. Because this body you get from your past karma. And so if you acted as a Brahmin in the past, you take birth in a Brahmin family. So if you aren't born as a Brahmin, you can't be a Brahmin. But this verse says, no, even if you're born out of the varnashram, even lower than Shudra, you can become purified. And this is how, when we chant the holy name, we can't see our gross body changing so much, but the subtle body is changing. Our subtle body has become Vaishnava, higher than Brahman. Our subtle body is changing. So it's true that we have changed our body. We have changed our subtle body by chanting. So we are Brahmins. We are more. So Shudakirti says, once in Los Angeles, Prabhupada said, if we're not for the chanting of Mahamantra, you boys and girls could not do anything. And it's true. In the West, you use so many drugs, you cannot accomplish anything. But chanting Hare Krishna has enabled you to get all these temples and devotees. Simply Krishna's mercy and the chanting. And so yes, so the hand, so like the body of the universal form, it's like the Brahmanas are the head and the Kshatriyas are the arms to protect, and the Vaishyas are the belly because they feed everyone, and then the Shudras are the legs. They take you everywhere. And so the hand is important, the leg is important, the pujari is important, book distributor, cooks, everyone's important, and everyone has something to give to Krishna. And so we have a special relationship with Krishna and service that only we can do. There is one service to Krishna. Only we as our individual person can do that service differently. It's different from everyone else's service. How we do it, what's our attitude, and what we do is very different. And it's Bhagavatam 10:14-7 says, one day the scientists may be able to count all the snowflakes, all the atoms on the earth, or the molecules of sunshine, but they can never count the qualities of Krishna. And Sanatana Goswami comments, he says that Krishna has a special quality to attract each one of us. Each one of us is attracted by a special quality of Krishna. So isn't that cool? So you need to think about that. What's that? What am I attracted to? How is Krishna attracting me? And we also each have a special service for Krishna. Only we can do. And so yes, in one lecture on this verse, not this verse, but 4th canto, chapter 13, Guna Karma Vibhaga Shahada. How do you know what is your guna and karma? So Prabhupada says that, you must become guru. He told all of us. And Lord Chaitanya says no one is responsible for his birth. Responsibility is to advance in Krishna consciousness. Want to go back to Godhead? No impediment. It doesn't depend on anything material. It's open for everyone. The chance is given. You can become a brahmana, you can become a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and you can become a spiritual master of the whole world. The Prabhupada told us that was in 1966. Can you imagine? To the brain dead, to the hippies. They weren't thinking we're in a movement, They just liked Prabhupada, and they were happy. So, that's Prabhupada's mercy. We can become empowered to preach and give the highest charity to the entire world. And that is to get them liberated and go back to Godhead. So if you have any questions, you can ask. And tomorrow's seminar will be about how to become an instrument of Krishna. So anybody have questions or comments about this class?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much. The beautiful class. You mentioned that Arjuna was representing the Asuric Varnashram in this conversation that he's having with Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking that when we study, we realize that Arjuna is representing the conditioned soul, like he was already an enlightened soul eternally. Yeah. But would he have also been genuinely concerned for the, once all of those warriors were killed, then, and Yudhisthira was there as the king, so would the Pandavas have treated all of those children and women as presented a similar class as you've just given to them, or guided them in the same way?
I don't exactly get your question.
Would have your presentation today, would that have been given to those people who were left after the battle? How did it reconcile from that doubt that Arjuna had?
How did it reconcile? Well, Krishna went through all the different yogas, karma yoga, ashtanga yoga, and bhakti yoga, Jnana Yoga also, Bhakti Yoga. And he went through it. It's because there's different kinds of people who want to understand in different ways. So he explained it in many different ways to different classes of people. But for all of them, one thing is running through, and that's yoga. That's connection with Krishna. So at the end he said, forget all those dharmas I talked about. He said, forget Gyan, forget karma, forget yoga, there's other ashtanga. He said, and just surrender to me, and I'll wipe all the karma away. And so that was, and that when Krishna left the planet, Arjuna lost all his potency. He got defeated by some coward men. So then what happened, he couldn't figure it out. Why? Oh, because Krishna left. Then he realized Krishna left. That's why. And then after, he was feeling so bad, he was lamenting. Then he said, wait a minute. Krishna gave me all these instructions in Gita. Now I have to follow those instructions, and that will help me. So Gita is not just for Arjuna, it's for everyone, because we're all on a battlefield. And maybe our own mind might be the greatest battle sometimes. The body, the mind, and the threefold miseries, the other living entities, the demigods, floods, and that. So these are the threefold miseries attacking us. And what happens? And what can we do? So Krishna tells us in Gita, connect with me. If you're not connected, you're going to suffer. So Arjuna was disconnected at this point. He was disconnected. He was not seeing Krishna's hand or Krishna's guidance. But of course he did surrender. Okay, I accept you as Guru. And then he got all the instruction. And that's for us, actually. And we're all in these different, some of us are intellectuals like Gyanis, some of us want to do yoga, Ashtanga yoga, whatever. And some of us want to just, work and enjoy. Some people. So it's for all classes. How you can be perfect in your different categories, karma yogi, jnana yogi, or ashtanga yogi. How you can, and of course what it means is connect with Krishna. Without Krishna, then forget that dharma, forget that process. It's not going to work. Without connection. Therefore yoga, bhakti yoga, has to be there. Otherwise you don't get your result. You don't get it. So Arjuna, he wouldn't get the result by giving up the battle and not fighting. The result of what he wanted. Yes, he's, how can I be happy? He wanted happiness. I can't be happy if my family's not here to enjoy with me. Anyway, different arguments. He was trying to, say intelligent words. But first verse, Krishna says you're talking intelligently, but you're pretty foolish because you don't know the difference between body and soul. You're lamenting for what is not worthy of lament. A sober person laments not for the living or the dead. Yeah, did I get your question right? I wasn't quite sure.
I loved your presentation, your class today, because it was just, thank you so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yeah, Julian?
Thank you for the wonderful class. In the beginning, you said devotional service in mode of passion.
Devotional service?
In the mode of passion, you perform devotional service for your enjoyment.
Well, for fame, for getting things of the material world.
Getting things
and
from
separatist mentality also.
Selfishness.
Separatist. Separate.
Separate.
You're separate from other devotees. You have your own agenda. You have your own plan. How you're going to progress in spiritual life.
Because in my understanding of Varna ashram is that because we all have individual needs and desire and nature, so in order to be satisfied and at the same time to perform devotional service, so it's Varna ashram is more like a support system for our needs and nature.
Yeah, you don't need, devotional service doesn't need it. but it's for the people who cannot get up early and go to Mangalarti. So they need something, some way they can advance in spiritual life.
So how can you perform, how can you be in Varna ashram and at the same time like purely serve Krishna, because we are in Varna ashram systems for our needs and desire. So how can you please Krishna when you're in that condition at the same time?
Well, Krishna says in Gita, all you do, all you offer, all you give away, give it to me. And that's what Krishna says. If you're in the Varnashram, and that's what Pitu is saying, you do your duty as a Grihasta or as a Vaishya, whatever. Do your duty, but do it for me. Krishna needs to be in the center. And then I think just like in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had like 10, 12 children. And he said, oh, Krishna, this is your family. And they're all Vaishnavas. So I must serve the Vaishnavas and maintain them. That was his attitude in Grihastha life. He worked as a judge. He did his duty. He supported his family. He did his work in Varnashram, but he also was above Varnashram, because not only he did his material duty, he did his spiritual duty, writing books all night and preaching.
So in this sense, it's possible to perform pure devotional service in the Varna ashram system.
Why not? That's what Krishna is teaching Arjuna. You can be a Kshatriya and be a pure devotee if you do it for me. Then you can. You can be a Brahmana and do it for Krishna. You can be a Vaishya, do it for Krishna. Like Ambarish, he's a Vaishya. I don't know if he's a Vaishya, if I could put him in that category, but he has money and he's using it for Krishna. And so there you go. I mean, the Vaishyas are the ones who are supposed to have the wealth and everything. So yeah, he's matching any donation that you give anyone all over the world. Not only that, now his health is not good, but before that, even though he's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is, he was going out begging from temple to temple for money for the temple, to build the temple in Mayapur. Can you imagine that, a billionaire going out begging? So he's a pure devotee, although he may be in the category of Vaishya or whatever. He's a pure devotee. You don't see that in the material world. You don't see it. Nobody's billionaire goes out begging. And whatever he gets from other people, he matches. Because if only he did it, then we would not feel like a part of it. He wants everyone to feel a part of building that temple, not just him. We would not feel a part if we didn't also give. It's not just his temple. It's a whole temple of the whole world. Okay, any other? Yes, you have a question.
So I was wondering, what sort of people are less than Shudras?
Less than Shudras, people who eat meat, fish, and eggs, like in the West, they will be considered less than Shudras. But in India, there is a class of people, and all they do is like clean the toilets and the gutters, and they would be considered. They call them untouchables, mlechas. And also whoever eats meat is in that category. He may be born in a Brahmin family or whatever, but if he's eating meat, fish, eggs, then he's mlecha also. He's not part of the Varnashram. And they were vegetarian. Yeah, that's the definition Srila Prabhupada used to give, because we were not in the Varnashram in the West. We were not part of Varnashram at all. So we were like mlechas, like gone. But then, Prabhupada reformed us. And we became devotees and Brahmins and whatever. Sannyasis, gurus. Any other questions? Yeah, back there. all the way back. He's coming forward. Thank you.
This is Hare Krishna. This
Hare
is inspired by Julan's question.
Who?
Julan.
Oh, Julan. Okay.
And so we see in the world subjectively that ghastly things are happening in the name of God in other religions. So what's the distinction between, say, Arjuna on the battlefield or just any warrior doing that for Krishna and say other religions?
Yes. Arjuna, his service was out of love of God, and he wasn't interested in the details, but in the principles. Like in Christianity, they say the first commandment is to love God. Second is to love your neighbor as yourself. So when those people who, in the name of religion, destroy other people, they're not following even what their teacher is telling them. So the problem with when different religions, they criticize or fight each other is because it's about the details. The principle is the same in all religion, love God. And Srila Prabhupada, he quoted this verse, Savai Punsam Parotormo, To Bhaktir Rahusje. If you, in your religion, if you are developing love of God, then that is, that's true religion. And he preached, like, what Prabhupada did not like was hypocrisy. There was an example with Christians he preached to. There was one cardinal very high up in position. His name was Cardinal Sin, actually. And it actually happened. And he was saying, there is no soul in the animals. So Prabhupada was trying to convince him, there is soul, don't eat meat. And but then he was found dead later in not very good conditions, maybe prostitute house or something. So Prabhupada was really heavy on him. Then there was one really nice nun who came to see Prabhupada in UK. And she was asking beautiful questions, and she was listening attentively. And then Prabhupada asked her, she had some rosary beads. Prabhupada asked, so what are you chanting on those beads? She said, I'm chanting, may Lord Christ have mercy on me. And Prabhupada said, yes, he will have mercy on you. So I heard there is one nun in UK who's chanting Hare Krishna and still a nun. It could be her. Then in Iran, it was Muslim place. And there were 5 times a day on loudspeakers, they chant these prayers to Allah, names of Allah. And so one time Prabhupada asked the devotees, so what are they saying? And they said, they're saying the names of Allah. And Prabhupada said, that's really nice. And the devotee said, but shouldn't they be chanting Hare Krishna? And Prabhupada said, you want me to be sectarian? And so he was very, and what happened after that, before the revolution this was, the devotees made a Mahamantra with the names of Allah on the streets, and people were following them everywhere. And so, that's bridge preaching. Anyway, but then the revolution came and they had to leave. But there are underground devotees. I know some very good friends in Iran, especially one daughter of a devotee. I knew since she's 2 years old, she's preaching and chanting and whatever, in secrecy. And she's, anyway, It's very interesting because I said, America bombed Iran a few months ago, I don't know. And I said, I talked to one devotee from Iran. I said, aren't you worried about America bombing you? And she said, our government is much worse. They're so heavy on the ladies and whatever, Put them in jail if their head is not covered in a certain way. She was stopped because she had a hat on. She said she was driving. She had a hat on. She was stopped by the police in Iran. Anyway, this is going on in Kali Yuga, and because they fight because it's not the priests and the nuns. It's the the governors or whoever who take over in the name of religion. They do things, and also crazy people too. They will say, "Oh, God told me," or I'm doing this in the name. But no, they don't have it. They don't have love of God. If they loved God, they would see God in everyone's heart. If they really love God, because Krishna is in everyone's heart, and one who becomes advanced in spiritual life also sees that, how God is in everyone's heart. So those people who are doing things in the name of religion, terrible things, they are not really proper worshippers of God. Yeah. But it's hard. I mean, there has to be some kind of regulation. Yes?
Just wanted to add, that was a wonderful reply to his question. But also, Arjuna's situation was so different. He was already summoned to battle. There was people wanting to fight him. He didn't create the battle.
Right.
The demons were already present. It wasn't his will.
No, it wasn't.
And as you know, he's a Vaishnava. Prabhupada mentioned this all through the first chapter.
Right. His mood, I want to forgive them.
Yeah.
That was Arjuna. He told Krishna, I want to forgive. And Krishna said, no, I don't forgive them. So you have to fight.
So, and his Kshatriya Dharma, like Krishna said, like, they're here to fight you. You're going to run away, you know?
Yeah, he gave so many arguments to Arjuna. On the physical level, on the mental level, on the spiritual level. Your son has a question? Or he just wants to talk? Any other questions? Okay, Jai, glories Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow for Shukadev's empowerment prayers. If you want to become empowered, come tomorrow and find out how. Hare Krishna.